You got your meal with you, I see. You're not,
Yeah, bro.
you're not.
Have to.
If I'm being honest, bro, like I feel like I put on
Nothing?
so easily. I feel like I put on weight so easily that I don't necessarily have to be on time with the meals because I can always get the meals in because my appetite is higher than my food. You know what I'm saying? If that makes sense.
Well, but you've been hit.
Alright, guys.
It's good, Zay.
Hey, what's up, Zayd?
How you guys doing?
Chilling, bro. Chilling, bro. I was just talking about like meal wise, like meal timing. I don't really gotta pay attention to meal timing because I feel like that my appetite and hunger is higher than my food always. So I could always eat meals easily. You know, I can eat meals every hour if I need to. Sometimes I eat meals back to back if I have to. You know,
But what's the heaviest you've ever been?
310. But I was
That's what I'm saying. Like, I was able to do that, but now that I'm a weight that I've never been.
oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're
I,
right.
I can't do that.
Good point.
My appetite's like gone.
That makes sense because yeah, because I still haven't reached my max weight. That's what
Yeah.
you. Okay. What's good,
Hey,
Dave?
is it on my end? Because you're kind of breaking up. Is it my end?
Yeah, it looks like it look.
Yeah, it is a little choppy. Yeah.
You guys look. I mean, Zay looks clear to me, but Joe is a little choppy. Yeah, but I think it's on Joe then. Let me see you, Zay. You choppy? You're not choppy. You good, right? Yeah, you good. I think Zay is good. I think it's you, Joe.
Am I better? Is
Yeah.
it better?
Joe's frozen.
You see me now?
Oh,
I could see Joe.
yeah,
Yeah,
Everything good?
yeah.
good.
I
I
think
think
my Wi-Fi was wrong.
Yeah, I think it's on your end because if you're coming up choppy for both of us, but I could see Zay clearly. Can you see me clearly, Zay?
Yeah, no problem.
I I think it was
No,
on Joe's side.
now.
All good though. How you been, Zay? How's the rebound phase going along?
Great, man. Thank God everything's going on good.
Good.
Um, just wait, right? Rushing it too quickly, you know.
Hey, can you
But
hear me
so
now?
far so good. Yeah.
Good to hear. Good to hear. I'm
I'm
welcoming
good.
Ken. What's good, Ken? Can you hear us? Let's see if Ken can hear us. We
Hey,
can't.
what's up, Dan?
We can't hear him yet.
Yeah, what's up?
Let's see if I can hear him.
All right, there we go. Can you hear me?
There we go.
All
Yeah.
right.
You Ken.
Wait.
There you go. I got you now. What's good,
Well,
Ken?
Ken, how you doing, man?
What's up, Zaid? How you doing? I'm doing good.
Good, good.
Congratulations,
Congrats,
brother.
Dan.
Thank you. I mean, I think everyone sitting on this panel right now, I think all of you, congratulations to all of you, to even you, Bitey, like with your podcast and what you I messaged you because I actually found the first episode, right? And I was like, oh, what is this? You just browsing around YouTube, and I was like, wow, this is pretty good. It's pretty good. So that's what I messaged you. I was like, dude, keep doing this because a lot of times too, when it comes to podcasts and stuff like that,
Mm,
especially if you're an amateur coming up or you're an early pro, a
yeah,
lot of times it's in relation to the top end pros, right? But this felt a lot more relatable to someone like me, who just became a pro and
yeah.
seen it from our side of the house, So definitely keep doing this. This is great. And yeah. How's it going, Joe?
It's going,
Eek.
bro.
Big Joe.
Heavy as hell.
I saw your post today, dude. That is fucking crazy. 288. That's awesome, man.
My coach can't believe it. I can't, dude. He wants me to go one more week. Not all right, but after this, I need a break, man. Like walking around's hard. Like it's so hard.
You got to think about it. Joe you about 5'8", right?
Dude, you
So
get like the lower back pumps, like
yeah, bro. I had to.
anything,
I
right?
cut
Yeah.
cardio. I couldn't do cardio no more.
That's
Yeah.
crazy, man. Well, I mean, okay, the way I feel at 290, and I'm 5'11". So how the hell you feel at 5'8", 290? That's wild, bro. That's a lot of size, man. And you're not getting sloppy. Like you still look like tight.
Yeah, the heaviest I got before USA's was 274, and I was only like I held 270 after that, but I touched 274, and I feel way worse over on this end this time around. I thought I felt pretty bad when I hit the last time. I was like, damn. But once I didn't feel like this up until I got past that number. So like the food going down, it was easy, like you said. You know, like I didn't worry about no meal times. Like, oh, I'll get it in no matter what.
Yeah.
But now it's like, man, if I like the timing's like getting pushed back a little far, like, oh, I'll wait another 30 minutes, you know.
So
So
how long are you guys planning to? Because I'm guessing, are you still on the rebound, or this is like all season, off season?
so he actually just got back to me right before this podcast started. So
Okay.
this will be it will be a total of 9 weeks rebound. But he called
Okay.
me after this week. He said it like his word to me, as much as my body is responding as tight as I'm staying, he can't believe it. And the only reason he wants to pull the plug after this week is for health reasons, because
Yeah.
obviously, you know, going from the show and then this rebound being on so long and then push the body. I feel it. I'm telling you. And I told him too. I was like, "Yeah, man. Honestly, I need a break. Like, it's hard. It's difficult.
Yeah,
But we got more out of it than we expected. So
me and Zayd were just talking about that on DMs, right? Because Zayd was like, "How long do you usually do rebounds?" And it's like, it depends how responsive my body is. So I did 2 shows, so I ended up prepping for about 26 weeks. So in my head, I'm like, okay, if I prep for 26 weeks, I want to keep it on the shorter end, right? So I was thinking maybe I'll do 6 weeks. But similar to what happened to you, my body was responding well. So I was like, damn, I don't want to cut this at 6 weeks because I feel like I'm responding well. I'm kind of holding my shape. And I don't feel too bad. I feel kind of bad, but not too bad. So I kept it another 2 weeks. But now I'm like, okay, my lower back is tight. You know, I'm starting to feel fatigued. I'm falling asleep, like diving and shit. And then if I get too full at night, I get really uncomfortable. I'm like, okay, I think I should like cut it at 8 weeks, being that our prep was so long, you know what I'm saying? So, and like you said, for health reasons, you know, so I want to get my blood work done again right after. So I basically stopped my rebound last week. I want to get my bloods done now and then get it done again in another 8 weeks. And then that's usually when my blood work looks, my blood work never gets too far off besides ALT, AST. That's usually for me what gets kind of high. But my cholesterol doesn't really budge. My hemoglobin, hematocrit, I don't donate blood. I never had to for whatever reason. I would assume,
Wow.
yeah, I think I was anemic before I started bodybuilding because I asked Justin one time I went to donate blood because he told me to, and they told me I couldn't. They said your hemoglobin hematocrit is too low, and I was like, "Yo, Justin, have you ever heard that?" He said, "Never heard that." So we figured maybe I'm anemic naturally. So on, you know, when I'm on gear, I kind of just go back to normal, right? So which is
Yeah.
good. I'll take that. You know what I'm saying? So
Do
um,
you guys feel it's like, I know you're too. Sorry, you're cutting, buddy. Can you hear me?
oh,
Yeah, yeah.
I got you now.
Yeah. Do you guys feel like, because like there are two schools of thought, right, with rebounds. So like, like Joe's case, right? Cap on this as much as you can and go up as much as you can.
Mhm.
But then there's some schools of philosophy that's like, okay, we don't want to put on, too much in terms of like body fat during that time. You want to put on as much muscle as possible, but also you want to minimize the body fat that you're putting on. So like some people, um, they would be restricted in some capacity, right, in terms of the rebound versus just going full throttle and just embracing that weight gain. How do you guys feel? Because I feel like I come to two different sides of bodybuilding, right? Where it's like, all right, the rebound, like we're going to be super, super strict. Like, we don't want you going too high. And then you got guys like Joe who are just making muscle by the minute, right? So
Yeah.
How do you feel about that, Zayd? Because I feel like you kind of keep it leaner, you kind of keep it tighter on the rebound than most of us or some of us.
me, actually, to be quite honest with you, I'm in your boat. I want to blow up, but Andrew wants it a little bit tight, just for health reasons. He doesn't want me exploding too much during the rebound phase. So we're keeping it a little bit close to striking distance, and then going into the help phase, and then going into an off season from there. But my problem that I have,
Mhm.
and I think we're probably trying to work on this off season, is that I actually don't eat a lot. When it comes to like preps and stuff, even in my off season, my meals are relatively, small compared to a lot of stuff. That's something that we're kind of trying to work on, because during preps, I'm kind of eating next to nothing with heavy amounts of cardio, and like, you've got other guys, we've got other guys who are like Sid, for example, is eating like 300 grams of carbs, per meal. I'm like I'm here eating scraps every single day, and I'm barely losing a pound. So
Yeah.
that's my issue, and that's what we're actually trying to fix this off season coming up.
Where that sounds very similar to kind of what I go through. I don't. I got down to 1,200 calories the last 3 weeks of prep. And I was still
Oh, yeah.
yeah. So I know Joe's food gets pretty low, but it also gets really high. For me in the
Yeah.
past, I didn't like to push it too high just because I felt like no matter what, it has to get low. So I was like, I might as well stay in striking distance. But I don't. I feel like I definitely add more tissue when I have more food. You know. So, uh,
Yeah.
how about you, Zayd? How do you go about it usually?
Honestly, I'm kind of in between. So, but I'm totally for milking it and making the maximum rebound you can, because your body's so sensitive.
Yeah.
And I'm on week 8. I'm about to be on week 8 on the rebound. Since I want to take a longer season, so it's going to be a slow and steady progress for me. I'm not trying to blow up very soon, but put the size in the right place, taking my time.
Yeah.
And I'm at 227, so we're still climbing up. My condition is still good, so this is the first time I actually had a very strict rebound. Normally, it's 70-30. This time around, it's 95, 5% cheating.
Yeah.
So this is the first time I'm actually more disciplined, because I got hyped just turning pro. I'm
Yeah.
like, fuck, I got to take this to the next level. But yeah, slow and steady wins the race. So I'm not trying to put the effort right away. My off season probably starts in November, sometime in a few weeks, just to take it slow, and then do blood work first, and then ramp things up a bit before the New Year's.
Lucky for you, you always
Yeah.
look a lot bigger than you weigh. I think you were the biggest light heavyweight I've ever seen in my life. I've never seen.
Yeah, same. The same thing.
But it's not like he's 5'5". Like Zayd is not short. Like you're like 5'9", aren't you?
Yeah.
That's crazy. How are you 5'9"?
I'm not a light heavyweight. I'm a heavyweight.
Yeah, exactly.
Wait,
But
yeah. So
yeah, I
wait,
always suck down. Always try to get peeled to the bone and try to make weight so I can get the most advantage.
Yeah.
like, say, what's your height, and like, what did you compete at USA's, right? You turned pro at USA's.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was 205 for prejudging after making light heavyweights. And then for finals, I was 220.
Whoa.
Yeah, dude, I
Yo,
fucking absorbed everything. But you have no idea what it took for me to make that fucking weight. All these years, man, when in my amateur days, I truly felt what a classic physique guy would feel like. Even though I never did a classic physique competition. Trying to make progress year to year while you have a 198 cap to do, that's fucking crazy, you know. And honestly, man, like you said, I'm not short for this class. It's always a little shorter guys, like 5'5", 5'6", 5'7".
Wait, how tall are you, Zayd?
No, 5'9" and a half actually.
Oh,
So
snap!
a little bit over 5'9".
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm the shortest guy here then, because I'm like 5'6", 5'7". You know, Joe. How
Like,
tall is Joe?
Like 5'8.5".
Yeah, I'm definitely the shortest guy.
okay,
That's sure.
so that's one thing I was wondering, right? Because you're a heavyweight, and I'm looking at you, I was like, he's a pretty big heavyweight, you know what I'm saying? But I figured, I figured it was probably just like your muscle bellies. So how much did you end up weighing?
So originally when we were coming down during the prep, to be quite honest with you, I was in the 230s for like forever,
Mhm.
like forever. You know, so we were thinking, you know, at a time like I competed in heavyweights in nationals,
Mhm.
and this year I put on it's working with Andrew, and you know he was like, it doesn't matter where you end up, be it super or heavyweights, it doesn't matter. Like
Oh shit!
Oh, he bumped out.
Oh,
Uh-oh, Ken is
I
gone.
can see you, Joe. I can't see Baby.
Yeah,
Oh, you can't see me?
Oh yeah, I see you shared the
Ken
screen.
frozen.
Yeah, but I don't see.
I see
Let me see if
Is
who.
Ken frozen?
Yeah, I don't see.
he's probably gone.
Yeah, I don't see Ken. I see. So I'm assuming it's on his side because if we all, you guys all see me, right? Okay,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
I
see you
see.
and Zayd.
Okay, so it's probably Ken. So while he's coming back,
I can.
Look,
I seen you.
so while he's
Oh,
gone,
your cat made an appearance.
while
He'll
he's
log back on, I'm sure.
yeah, while he's gone, I want to take a look at how he looked, man. I thought
he looked nuts.
you know like there's a difference between like dominating the lineup and like your ceiling, how high your ceiling is. And I've seen a lot of good guys win nationals, right? But like as far as ceiling goes, where I think he can go, I think his ceiling is extremely high. You know, I feel like he's just getting started. I feel like he can still make so much improvements and end up being because his frame can handle so much more, and with his shape and condition, I think he can go really far, man. Honestly, I think he can go really far. Yeah, that's impressive, man.
Absolutely. He's like the newer version of Michael Lockett.
Bo, he really looks like his
Mhm.
physique. His physique really resembles Michael Lockett. Like
He has better legs, Michael, actually.
wait,
I've seen Michael in the gym. Even back in the day, he has better legs.
a lot. I would say a lot better legs. With all due respect to Michael, but I mean, if Michael had his legs, imagine how good Michael would have been. And look at he's literally Michael with huge legs. So that's impressive.
Yeah,
Let me
yeah.
check see if we could.
Baby, why didn't you do the next show?
North Americans
Yeah,
because when I talked to Justin, he felt like I need more tissue, which I agree with, but also at the time he didn't know I was extremely flat, right? I felt like I had the tissue, but I definitely over dieted and didn't carb up, So I ended up looking a lot smaller than I really was, and I was still in the 240s, which means like I was still heavy. I just didn't appear like my usual like round self, right? Like it seemed like a week after, you're like, what the fuck happened? Like a week after, I was like fully low.
yeah,
I just was, but I wanted to come in flat because I was tired of every time I come, the judges are like, come in 10 pounds lighter, 10 pounds lighter. So I was like, fuck it. I'm gonna come 15 pounds lighter. So I literally from the cow from the Cal to the USA, I dropped 15 pounds. I was like, nobody's ever going to tell me
Oh,
to come in lighter again. And they didn't tell me to come in lighter. They told me to come in bigger. So, um,
oh,
but I mean, I feel like I kind of had to get into that real conditioning to know where to go from there. Now I'm there. I'm like, okay, now I know how much I can carb up. I literally went zero carbs for 2 weeks out till the night of the show. The night of the show, I had a burger and fries, and that was it. I didn't have any. I didn't eat in the morning. I didn't eat backstage. I didn't have any rice cakes. Nothing. Because at the Cal, having the rice cakes and the potato chips, I literally blew up. Like I blew the fuck up, and I didn't want that to happen. My stomach got a little out of control, and I kind of like, I don't know if I overspilled, but I think it was too full for my look. The way my muscles look, it was too full. It didn't look hard. So it came in hard for
Yeah,
you,
you can't.
huh?
This same thing happened to me with Nash at Nationals. I'm going to tell you what Debs told me.
Uh-huh.
Deb, I don't know if he's the one who won the overall at Nationals last year, Walter Debs.
Oh yeah. Uh-huh.
yeah. He's big boy, that guy.
He's a
Huge.
boy. He's a big boy. So he told me, because I think you're in a similar place, Bitey. Like for your body type, right? Like your muscle bellies are super round, and when you get full, you get like so full, right? So it's like he's like, try not to aim for being super full, because your halfway point to being full is just it's enough.
Yeah.
It's enough. You don't need to go all the way. So,
Facts.
because I tried the same thing. Nationals last year were like, all right, because I didn't know, that was my first national show.
Yeah.
So I didn't know what anyone was going to look like. I thought I was going to be small, next to everyone. And I'm not the tallest guy out there. So I was like, man, everyone's going to be bigger than me. So I was like, all right, we're going to come in super full. And we got there, and well, we were too full. We spilled over. So
That's
for
tough.
you, like, yeah, just halfway. Like Chris Aceto says, right? He always says, it's better to be
Yeah.
90%
Then try to go for
than to go for 100. At least at 90%, you're risk free that way. So that's what I'd say for you, because I have the same problem.
Mhm.
And even for me, like at my show, at North Americans, we were, if you look at prejudging versus finals, that was a lot tighter at finals than prejudging, because we kind of played it a little bit safe, in prejudging, just to make sure. And then by finals, I had another burger with fries, and then all right, then we were really on. I was blasting full at that point. But at the point, that's what I'll tell you. That's what I'll tell you for you.
I
That's
think
great advice. Yeah.
that's a really smart approach. I know Compton does that as well, because Joe is just dense. He has a lot of muscle, but I don't believe Joe was like his fullest self. I feel like Joe was maybe like 60% full. He was just big. He was big.
Um,
He didn't have to be 100% full. Right? Would you agree?
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, when I remember when you saw me 6 weeks out.
Yeah.
I mean, I was 35, and then we brought me down to 223. But I felt I would have been ready at around like 232.
100%.
And when like I was so flat trying to like hold my fullness.
Mhm.
I was drinking like 3 I drank 3 liters of water, prejudging and finals.
Damn.
Damn,
Yeah,
wow.
I've never had to drink water before like
Yeah.
that. It's usually been very minimal, but yeah, he was trying to get me to that peak fullness.
Yeah.
Prejudging, but he tried his best to fill me out as much as possible. I had like muffins and stuff before finals, like water, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. What I
Yeah.
like about Justin is that he almost has no game plan. He's literally just going by what your body is doing, because
He literally goes by the hour.
that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we all talk, and none of his clients do anything similar. We all do completely different things because we all have completely different bodies.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
as little food as he has me eating, and I'm looking at you guys, or not you, but Paul, and I'm like, what the fuck? All the like sweets and shit. I'm like, I don't get no cheat meals. I didn't get any cheat meals with Compton because he would give me a cheat meal and I would wake up 5 pounds heavier, and he's like, fuck that. So I didn't get any cheat meals.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Andrew's like that. I'll tell you guys. North Americans, I must have posed like 20 times between the day I got there and the actual show day. I was every 2 hours consistently.
Yeah.
I would meet with Andrew, pose, go inventories, everything, and then the next meals will go from there. Well, that would be the next meals from there. So it's like,
Okay.
he doesn't have a game plan too. It's just based on how the body looks at that specific time.
Yeah.
And that just goes to show, like, Justin and Andrew are, right? Like, it's not cookie cutter. They're going based on your body versus, oh, this is what has worked in the past for X, Y, and Z person. Because I'll tell you, it was annoying, man. Like, because I wasn't even at the host hotel because they didn't have a kitchen, so I was an extended stay. And Pittsburgh, I don't know if you guys have been there, but like, my hotel was like maybe like 5-10 minutes away, but just that Uber to go from my place to his with the traffic, it was like 25 minutes every single time. So doing that just consistently, like,
Uh,
every 2-3 hours, I was like, if not for my girlfriend, man, like, I was burnt out. I was just like, I'm done. Like, F this show.
but you Uber, that's
Wow.
expensive as hell.
Yeah. It was pretty expensive, but
That's not
hey,
fun.
man, that's bodybuilding, right? That's the part that, like, people that don't compete don't really know. It's like even when you get there on show day, right? That there's certain things that you kind of have to do that a lot of people take to, like, where I was in Pittsburgh. I was lucky because I brought all my meats with me. I bought all my meats from the flight. So anyone watching this, killer tip, killer tip for you guys: freeze your meats beforehand. Make
100%.
like one big suitcase and just freeze all your meats that you need, so you don't have to go looking for a grocery store when you get there. If,
100%.
if your meats are frozen, that you can actually get through. Like, the airport's not gonna like stop it or confiscate or anything. So I had all my meats and everything with me, so we were able to like just go trade in. But you know, it's just that stress when you actually get there that day. Like, for non-competitive, if you're first time competing and you're watching this, it's like you have to be prepared with a lot of that stuff, because that stress will kill you, man. Once your cortisol starts going up, especially if you're not a day out, maybe you're a day out from the show, all this happening, it's over. It's over. So
It's
Bro,
just
so
a heads up.
true.
Yeah.
USA's I got, because we compete Friday, Saturday. So I got to my Airbnb early afternoon Wednesday. So Wednesday, all I had to worry about was unpacking. I cooked all the food that I needed, like, because I was able to drive, because I live in
Oh, nice.
Los Angeles. So Los Angeles to Las Vegas is 4 hours.
Okay,
So I
nice.
cooked everything beforehand. Like, the morning of, I cooked everything. Then we took off, and all I did was unpack, just kick up my feet, bro. And I just like had my little scale, and I just made my rice fresh. That was it.
Yeah, because Joe, now that we're pros, like, we're going to be competing all over the place, right? So it's like
Yeah,
some of the
yeah.
things that's kind of like no one really talks about, and this is like, I know you haven't competed a lot before getting to this point. Same here. Like, this is my fourth NPC show, you know, so it's like
Wow.
a lot of people don't talk about this stuff, and if your coach doesn't really explain this stuff to you, I guess for for first time competitors or people that are trying to get to the national level, maybe they don't have a coach, or they don't have that proper guidance. This is some of the stuff you need to start finding out.
Yeah.
You don't want to start finding this stuff out like a week before, you know.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
No, it's good advice. It's good advice.
yeah,
And
It was worth it though, bro. You made all those trips. You won the whole show, so it was definitely
Yeah.
worth it
Oh
for you.
yeah. Oh yeah. Definitely. Definitely.
bro,
You
Zay,
know. Uh,
that's a
Mm.
really cool setup you got back there behind you.
I
I was
know,
gonna
man. You're like a
altar.
DJ Khaled.
I need a bodybuilding altar too. Like what the
Thank you, bro. I'm a huge fan, and
You
so
got
I
the
had to set up
trophy.
something.
Look at the
Yeah.
trophy. He got the
I got a
stage
sword
shots. He
and
got
two
the
posters.
Will Whitman shots. He got the medals. He got the J Flex
Yeah,
muscular. That's dope. I like that.
yeah.
But soon it's gonna be
Thank you.
you're gonna have your own covers back there too.
I hope so. Very soon.
Let's make sure over here. Oh shit!
That's a badass one, dude.
That's my.
Oh, there
That's
you
my.
go.
I used to have a wiener dog.
I like I like that.
Wow.
I was
That's a
gonna
little shrine.
I was gonna ask Zayd. So I saw Zayd at check-ins, and I gotta be honest,
Yeah, shopping.
I wasn't sure if Zayd was
Mm.
gonna make it to the stage because Zayd looked gone. He was I was gone, and I looked at Zayd. I was like, he looks way worse than me. So, can you talk about some of the things you got to do to actually make the weight?
Mm.
Can you hear me?
I'm sorry, you were cutting up. Can you
Oh,
repeat the question?
Yeah, you're cutting off badly, Bitey.
Yes,
oh,
that's
me?
what I was talking about earlier.
Yeah, you're cutting off badly, dude. Like I could barely hear you, dude.
Oh, damn. I didn't I didn't know it was me. I the whole time. Shit. Okay. But usually the recording catches it, so hopefully the recording catches it, and I'm not sounding like that in the recording. But you guys can hear me now.
Now you're good. You're good. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I want to ask Zayd. I saw you in check-in, and you looked.
Yep, now he's back.
It does happen again.
I'm gonna have to text you the damn question at this point. No, but what were some of the things you had? What were some of the things you had to do, Zay, to make?
I was about to ask you too. Everything.
God damn.
Let me try to take it. Let me try to take it to the living room. Let me see something.
Dude, we can't hear you.
Yeah,
I think you have to change your
He'll
room.
start yelling at his girl like, "Hey, figure it
Yeah,
out."
yeah. Maybe go closer to the router or something.
Yeah, let me try right now.
You know?
Yeah.
Let me see what's going on.
I can hear you, both of you
Put it
guys.
in rights,
Perfect.
bro.
All right.
Yeah. While he's doing that, so Joe, what's your plan for? Are you competing next year, like, or are you going to take some time?
So the original plan, I didn't want to compete till 2025,
Yeah,
and
that's me.
I originally wanted to do the Cal because I won the amateur overall version. Hey, that'd be pretty cool to go back as a pro and win it.
Hell
And,
yeah. That's
and I was
perfect, dude. That would be
and
great.
so I ran that by my coach, Justin, and he said, instead of setting a date, he's like, let's play it by ear because I know how you are with, being realistic and wanting to be ready and all that stuff. He's like, but I don't think it's going to take you that long to be ready. And fast forward, I'm 288 pounds today. And he's like,
Honestly, Joe, you have the size for it. You definitely have the size for it, bro. I don't think you should hesitate at all. You can win this show easily.
So pretty much he told me in January, we'll see what I look like and kind of go from there. So that means he wants me to do my little health phase and then one push, but I don't think it's going to be a push. I think it's going to be more like recomping this body right here.
Yeah.
Because I don't really get much. I really don't need to get bigger. I just want to solidify this better.
Yeah, just recomp it a little, get it tighter. Because I'd say like size wise, I think you definitely have the size. Like Zayd and I think we still need, unless Zayd, are you?
Oh my god, dude!
Are you doing open or 212?
Honestly, bro, I'm going open right away.
Open right away, right? Okay.
I was ready, honestly, at 212, 210, 212. I was fully ready for a show. And then I had to suck it down to 198 to make weight, you know? And then, so I'm just being realistic. I don't want to have a cap anymore as a professional.
Yeah,
That
you
would drive me
That's the
nuts,
worst.
that's
especially
how I
for
feel. That's
especially for 2 pounds. So it's not really fucking worth it. So
yeah,
let me
and
get
like
a pro and let me grow into that for in the next 7 years. That's my plan. Obviously, no, us three of us right now, we understand the caliber of this class, right?
yeah,
So I'm a realistic person. I'm not gonna expect myself to be a pro show winner anytime soon. So I need at least a 25 more pounds of muscle until I
yeah.
can be more competitive. And I'm willing to wait. So I'm like you guys. I'm taking a year off next year, and hopefully by the end of 25, we'll make a pro debut. You know.
Yeah, because my plan is more of the on the East Coast version of Joe's original plan, which is the New York Pro.
Yeah.
Watching that show growing up and stuff, like I'm like, all right, I got to go win it. So 2025 would be my goal would be to okay, let me not say win, because I don't know who's going to show up, but at least make top call out. I want to, even if I don't win a show in my pro debut, at least like Jordan Hutchinson, right? Like he made first call outs in his pro debut, which is phenomenal. That's something that doesn't happen often. Since I feel like since Nick Walker became a pro, everyone just kind of expects you to just blow everyone out and go to the Olympia,
Yeah.
but it
Yeah,
doesn't work
exactly.
like that, right? So
Yeah.
that's my goal too, would be at least a good showing for a pro debut, that first call out. And if we're knocking, then maybe go to a next show, and see if we can try and get a qualification or something. But
And,
I definitely need some size first. Like at
and
least
honestly, Ken, you have all the tools to do it, bro. Seriously. I don't think you're too far off. You just need to get bigger with the same version of yourself.
yeah,
With your lines and your shape and your conditioning, you'll hurt some people,
appreciate
and
it.
it's just a matter of time, dude. We were just saying I think you're better than what I think you look like. Michael Lockett, you have a better lower body than him for sure,
Yeah,
and I think he had a tremendous success winning pro shows. I think he won like 3 shows already for as
yeah,
a
yeah.
professional. And he's a great man, no knock on him, but I think you could be the newer version of that and just smash people once you fill out completely, man. I think he'll be very, very dangerous.
No, I appreciate that.
Seriously.
It's like that everyone keeps saying, I've heard I look like Michael Lockett, I look like Blessing, I look like Breon, I look like
Blessing? No
War.
way.
Yeah.
Dude, dude, I've got it all, man. I've got it all.
They said,
Yeah.
let's name every black guy.
There's
On
every
his
black
diet
guy,
segment.
black guy with some
I was like,
hair.
someone's got to say it.
Yeah, every black guy with some hair. They just put him on me,
Hey,
Yeah.
I get William Bonac, I get Lord Jones, and I get Brandon Curry.
Very good, yeah.
I got Jay Cutler and Nick Walker so far.
There you go. Well, I feel like Zayd has I can't compare Zayd to anybody. I feel like he has a
He has
very
a different
look.
look.
Yeah, I don't get much, honestly. No one tells. They tell me I look like Gerard Butler, but he's not a bodybuilder. You know?
Wait,
He's
like
Yeah.
a
And
good
that's
actor.
how many
oh
pros?
yeah.
How
Oh
many
yeah.
pros do you see with like that are like you would consider bottom heavy or like with crazy legs? It's not a thing like that these days. I mean,
Muhammad Shaban
Ken
has
got
some
good legs.
crazy ass legs, bro.
You're right.
Mo, yeah,
Eric
Mo.
Frankhauser. Remember him?
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
back
God
then.
damn.
Yeah.
Carl,
Yeah.
you could say, I mean, Carlos is balanced, but you could say his lower
Oh
body is
yeah.
definitely
Carlos.
dominant, right?
Carlos
Yeah.
legs on. Am I clear now? Am I good now?
Oh, you're
Yeah, you're
perfect.
perfect.
Yeah, yeah.
Perfect.
The lighting is a
Jinx.
little weird though. I don't like the lighting here. But
You look like a little angel, baby. You look
well,
like
that's better. It looks like I'm in heaven.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Time down
But
on
yeah.
you, bro.
But okay, so back to the original question. Yeah, Jade, what are some of the things you had to do to make weight? Because like you said, you were ready. You were ready. I mean, for some time. you were definitely ready, like probably 215. You know.
Exactly. So honestly, this year was just we did something different. We
Mm.
kept the fullness the entire prep. We pushed hard, but not too hard where we had to suck it down to 198 just from the diet, you know. So
Yeah.
I got as lean as I can first, and that was about 210 pounds. I was pretty much ready, you know. And
Yeah.
after that, we knew it was just gonna be about making weight. I don't need to lose more muscle or fat. I just need to make weight. So 2 hours before the weigh-ins, or 2.5 hours, I sat in the sauna for 2.5 hours, dude, and I melted like a fucking candle.
Yeah.
I lost a lot of intracellular water from my muscle, and I was so deflated, so fucking dead. You saw me. That's when I wasn't a check-in. I barely made 198, and then I immediately started drinking 2 liters of water, eating then a big carb meal,
Mm.
wait, pause, again 2 liters of water, a meal, wait, take a nap, pause. So I experienced something a little different where other competitors are drying out, and I'm over here drinking 2 liters of water every 90 minutes. It was kind of weird, you know, because I lost unnecessary weight. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? So I had to gain some of it back so I can get fuller again for the prejudging the next day.
Yeah.
So yeah, but it panned out, you know, it looked good.
It
We
did.
barely made weight. That fucker, he sent me back. I was 198.5. He sent me back for a quarter of a pound because you have to be 198.25 to
Damn.
make light heavy. He sent me
Oh,
back for a quarter of a pound. I was going nuts that hour, you know? I'm like, man, come on now. He's like, yeah, rules are rules, buddy. So I had to take a walk and make weight and then go home, go to my room, you
That's
know?
wild.
But I don't recommend anybody to do this, you know? I just needed to get the pro card and I solidify it and then grow into the open class as years come by. You know what I mean? So I just wanted to do this one last time. And I told myself, if it didn't pan out this time, there's no way I'm making light heavyweight ever fucking again. There's no way.
Well,
I
that.
mean,
Huh? No, go ahead. Go ahead, Ken.
Mm.
I mean, the strategy worked, right? Because the heavyweight was Josh. I think I competed against Josh in nationals,
Mm.
and he's another one of Compton's guys, right? He's he's
yeah.
uh he's pretty good, man. He looks bigger than he looks, you know. So Josh is especially his lower body, like I would say from the back too. He's pretty good. So I mean, Zed, I haven't seen you in person, so I don't know what you look like in person, but I mean, the strategy worked. Sometimes you just have to strategize, you know, and see, like, because at the end of the day, the pro card is just the beginning, right? It's kind of just the beginning of the journey. So, hey, it worked out. It worked
Yeah, I
out.
mean,
Yeah. Thank
the way
God, dude. Thank God it did.
the way
Yeah.
Zay looked in that lineup, being that he was in light heavy, bro, it wasn't even close. Like it was, it was night and day. It looked like
Him
Thank
doing
you.
the light heavy was a move.
yeah,
Yeah.
it looked like he was in a different class. But my concern, I remember when Zay told me he was going to stay in light heavies. My concern was that he was trying to bring up his arms and back. So I was like, how can you bring up your arms and back and keep making weight? But he did it. So it's like, I don't know how, but he did it because his arms came up a lot. It looked like it came up like 2-3 inches, you know?
Bro, the newbie fit machine, that fucking thing did magic for me, man. I'm doing it twice a week,
Yeah.
just fucking made me explode. Honestly, since I started doing it, I started placing really, really high, and it kind of fixed my connection that I was lacking to my bicep or to my back. You know,
Well,
sometimes it wasn't just a mechanical problem, but just a neurological problem. You know,
yeah,
and it
I
worked
think
awesome. Yeah.
I think some people have lagging body parts because they don't train it correctly, right? But me seeing you train, your form is perfect. You know what I'm saying? You do the right amount of volume. So your training was perfect as far as, execution and form. So it had to be something that, like you said, was neurological. You just couldn't connect to it for whatever reason.
Yeah, I've always said if you can't feel it, you can't grow it. There's no way.
Yeah.
A hundred
Yeah.
percent.
Have
So
you ever used it, by the way? You guys ever used the newbie fit machine?
never.
No, I've never used it.
I got to be honest. I didn't believe in it until I seen what Dexter did with his legs that one year when he won Tampa. Because the year before, his legs were down severely, and then the next year, his legs looked like his best body part. And I was like, bro, what the fuck, you know? But
Exactly.
he said he messed up because that prep, he got so excited, he used it for his whole body every workout, and
It was too much.
the way his metabolism is, he said he couldn't keep up with the food, so he started flattening out. You know,
It's true. Yeah.
if it was me, Joe, or Ken, we probably could do it and still not flatten out because we don't really get flat. But if you have a crazy metabolism, yeah, that might happen. So, but I think you should keep it to your weaker body parts because why use it for your legs if you got big legs, you know?
It's incredible, bro. I'm buying one actually. I'm really investing in buying just a device for me. It's awesome. It's very, very good. It's gonna take your training to the next level. You know, obviously nothing replaces banging out the weights and doing the regular way, but it's awesome to do it on high volume days when you're targeting certain muscles when they're a little, they need a little extra help to grow.
Yeah, that's one thing I had to come to terms with. Like strength, like you can't always rely on strength as the catalyst for growth, right? Because there comes a time where it's not gonna work the way you want it to work. Let's say when I was at one point I'm squatting 3 plates, and I go up to 3 1/4, my legs grow. Go up to 4, my legs grow. Once I got up to like 6 plates, doing more than 6 plates, it wasn't going to bring me more growth. At that point, it was bringing me less growth because I would do a set and my back would be tight, my traps would be tight, my knees would be sore, and my quads wouldn't feel anything. So at that point, I'm like, at this point, what am I training? Even if my form is perfect, like from looking at me, you're like, oh, that's really good form. It was irrelevant. It was just so much work that it was crushing my nervous system more than my muscles. So I was like, I got to change this. So for me, I actually had to stop squatting for a while just to focus on like pendulum and hack squats because I'm all in. I don't know how to train like not as hard or like, not as heavy. Like I feel like I'm wasting my time. So on the pendulum, I can go as hard as and it's all quads. Same for the hack squats. I'll put my feet super low. All quads.
Biddy.
Mm-hmm.
Everything you're saying, man. And that's why I feel like I resonated with this your podcast because like the same shit I go through, right? Law of diminishing returns. Like you get to a point, and I almost feel like sometimes being strong as a bodybuilder is a curse. I almost feel like it's a
I've
curse.
talked about that too.
Yeah.
Because like you get to a certain weight where it's just like at this point, the amount of muscle I can grow progressing further versus the risk of injury is just too goddamn high.
It's not worth it.
It's not worth it.
But that's what adaptation's all about. I mean, I just posted a leg video, and the most I got to on a squat, it was a Smith squat with 6 plates for 10 reps. Mm-hmm. And I remember doing that set, and I was like, "Fuck, do I really ever want to do that shit again?" Because like the nervous build-up anticipation, how tight you make those wraps because you're so fucking afraid.
Oh yeah.
And I did it, and I was like, "Fuck, man! Like honestly, like my muscles don't hurt. I just hurt." Yeah. And so I was like, "Okay, like." That was right before my off season ended. I had my health phase and I did a prep. And so I was like, do I really think I'll be able to do that at my most depleted state? And that'd be my stimulus. So me and my training partner, Paul, if you look at the style of training I did in my last leg day, like workout video on my Instagram, like that slow controlled pause, like target where I'm trying to press from and stuff, my legs have blown up drastically with that different style, more than the heavyweight ever did. And it's not like it's light, like it was a 6-plate hack squat, like, or my leg press got like to 10 plates or something like that. But it's I've loaded shit up and boom, 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 like throwing it around, but the stimulus isn't the same. The tension's not the same.
Dennis Wolf, Dennis Wolf said in his career, Dennis Wolf only squatted 4 plates. He never went past. He never went past 4 plates on a squat.
Really?
I
never heard about that. Oh wow.
Yeah, Dennis Wolf never, and he said it in multiple podcasts and interviews as well. Like he
Right.
never went past 4 plates on a squat.
He had
Um,
crazy legs.
he had crazy legs, and he could do more.
2007, he was an amazing
Yeah,
2007.
yeah.
Yeah,
He had
yeah.
a, I think he's one of the most underrated, like, top Olympians. But
Agreed.
he never went past 4 plates. So it's like, Joe, like what you're saying, like I've had that issue because I know that myself. Once I started hitting like 5 plates on a free squat, I would get these like you know tweaks here and there. My right
Yeah.
quad would tweak or something, and then you have to move to the Smith squat for a bit. I do mostly Smith squats now just because of that. But
Yeah.
like you said, like you get to a certain weight where it's like, is it even worth it to just keep going up? Like how much more poundage can I add to my legs by adding another 45 plate
Exactly.
versus crushing my freaking spine?
Yeah.
Like,
I'm not
It's a
saying
love-hate
anything, but
relationship.
I
yeah.
kept
I,
a
I've
one.
been, I've been, I've been. Sorry, and I'll let you go, Vinny,
No,
because
no, you good.
I've been feeling that with like chest especially lately, because I don't train a lot with machines. That's another thing. Like I'm like a free weight guy, and I train at Apollon. We don't have a lot of machines. It's mostly a lot of free weight stuff. So I train mostly free weight. I don't usually do a lot of machines. So you get to a certain point too, like on an incline, you 3 plates, 3 plates and a half. It's like, all right, where do I go from here? Do I really want to put 4 plates on this bar, for like
Yeah.
an incline, like what am I going to gain from this at this point? Like if this chest
Exactly.
goes, my career is over. So
Exactly. Exactly.
yeah.
One
yeah,
thing.
Excellent point. Yeah.
One thing I like to do is I like to study people with good body parts, right? And also the improvement. So not necessarily somebody who had the best legs as a teenager, right? Somebody
yeah,
who maybe had decent legs and then had world class legs. So I looked at it like Shaban. I remember Shaban having decent legs, and then now he has some of the best legs in the world. So the improvement. I'm watching him train, and he was training with his girl at one point, and I saw him, and I'm like, he's hack squatting like 3, 4 plates. I'm like, that's not a lot of weight, but I'm watching how he did it, how low he gets, and I'm like, okay, that makes sense. Same with Zaid. Zaid has world class legs, but he also progressed.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, but I remember seeing Zayd's early shows, and his legs were good, but they weren't like they are now. So not only obviously he has good leg genetics, but he still improved them a lot. So one time I kind of trained legs with Zayd. We were like in the same area, and I remember I went up to like 6 1/4. Remember I had the belt and the wraps. Oh, everybody's looking at me. Oh, and I see Zayd. He's just like, wow, good set. And then he goes in no wraps, and he's going like when I say ass to grass, his butt was touching the floor. And he just kept going up slowly, slowly. Maybe he worked up to like 4, 4 1/4, or something like that. That sounds right, Jay?
Yeah, yeah. For the squats, I did 405 for 12. But
And I'm watching him do it. And he's going ass to grass, no equipment. And I'm like, I'm doing all this shit, but look at his legs and look at my legs. And at that time, I was smaller. I wasn't as big as I am now. And I'm looking, I'm like, okay, there's a disconnect because I'm doing all this shit and I feel like shit. And it's still a hard set. I mean, 12 for 405 going that low with no equipment is still very difficult, but it's a different kind of difficult. So I'm looking at that. I'm like, okay, maybe I need to switch things up because all these guys with the best legs, they're not doing what I'm doing. They're doing it in a different way. And now when I do it, it's just as challenging to do even 5 plates, ass to grass with no knee wraps, no belt. It's way more challenging to do that than going over 6 plates. You know what I'm saying? But challenging for the muscle, not my nervous system. So, like you said, strength isn't necessarily like a good thing because the fact that I even need to use 5 plates just to hit sets of 10 is not a positive thing. It would be much better if I could be this size doing 4 plates. But
right.
I would need to do a lot more reps with 4 plates, So it's like it's a gift and a curse because it might look cool, but what are you really getting out of it? If you're weak, as long as you progress, you're still gonna get the muscle gain without having to be that strong. So I
Right.
don't really think it's that much of a benefit.
but let's acknowledge that your fucking legs are huge too, man. That doesn't take away from the size of your legs. Those 6 plate sets you do definitely shows on your side shots how thick your leg is. So I think obviously it's doing you some type of results, but if you want to take it further without getting riskier, you have to drop the weight and do more reps. And man, it takes one bad fucking rep to end your career.
That's that.
And you know, I always keep that in the back of my head because I get pumped up and I'm like, add 2 plays more. But then I'm like, oh my God, let's just do it better. Do a better 12, you know?
Yeah.
And it's so funny you mentioned that because the bigger I'm getting, the lighter I'm lifting. You see, I used to be the opposite.
That's the thing.
100%.
I used to be the opposite when I was a teenager and growing up in my 20s. All I cared about how much weight, how much weight.
Yeah.
But now you learn more about, you know, muscle damage going in the negative happens more than just pushing the weight one way. You know?
Optimal biomechanics.
Yeah.
Just the optimal mechanics. Yeah, because like you said, like I'm losing my train. I'm losing my train of thought here.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm losing my train of thought. But like you guys were saying, because me personally, I just kind of feel like at a certain point, the weight doesn't matter anymore. The only thing I would say that heavy lifting does that you cannot get from any other style of training, just me personally, is just that, you know, like that fibrotic look that you would get from a muscle. Like, you know, when someone trains heavy, like a Branch Warren, like a Ronnie Coleman, the muscle just looks different, right? It looks different on the skin when that person is super conditioned. Like, you can see the fibers just like,
Yeah.
there's a different look to like heavy training that you don't necessarily get. But it's walking that fine line, right? Like, because everyone wants to look like that, right? But it's walking that fine line of how can I get there or something close to that without actually, you know, putting myself at risk for injury. And for me, that's where I struggle, you know, because obviously, like, the shape and everything is there, but I also, the shape can only carry you so far, right? So like, I want that size. I kind of want a little bit more detail to the physique, which I feel like comes from that heavy lifting. But how heavy do you go where it becomes a risk? That's putting your career.
That's the thing. I think
Yeah.
so you're completely right. So as the beginning, you know, you create a strength foundation, right? And you push
Yeah.
that foundation as far as you can until it starts to get to the point where you're at.
Boom.
So then you turn that strength and you volumize it. So you step back a little bit in weight, but eventually that weight that you step back into, you climb it back up and the body handles it different.
Right.
So like, say you're feeling a certain way about banging out 5 plate squats. Well, say you take it back to 3. Eventually you're going to be able to get back, no matter how long it takes, to 5 and handle it like that 3 you originally touched.
Right.
So it's a slow adaptation in a different manner, but your body is more so ready for the load because the style of training, say you slow down the reps or ass to grass, no wraps kind of thing. Your tendons have time to catch up now too with the strength of the muscle, but it's a different strength of the muscle. So you're still going to use a load heavy enough to create that or keep that look, that fine detailed grainy look that you get when you lift heavy. Because you're still eventually going to get back to the heavy stuff.
Yeah.
Just in a different way.
That's a good point. That's
a solid point.
It's, remember, bodybuilding is about, so like I said, that strength is important, that initial strength. But then the more advanced you get and the more connected with your body you get, it's like, okay, how can I take my strength, back it off a bit, and make a load that's not necessarily light, but moderate, as heavy as possible.
Right.
And then eventually, like I said, that weight's actually going to be what your heavy used to be. This time.
Exactly.
But now you have all that time to keep growing.
You guys know Mike Israetel, I believe his name is.
Yeah.
So I don't get too scientific with training personally, but like I listen to him on a few podcasts and I like how he thinks. I like his balance of science and just experience. And he was like, a lot of people take progression too literally. They think only weight, only weight, only weight. He said, okay, if you lift the same weight with the same form, with the same cadence, with the same rep range that you did your first day in the gym, you're not going to progress much. But progression doesn't have to be the weight. What if I was squatting 5 plates with wraps and a belt, and then now I'm squatting 5 plates without the wraps in the belt, that's a progression. Or without the wraps in the belt, but I'm getting lower. I'm going ass to grass. Or what if I slow it down? Now I'm taking 2 seconds to go down. That's all progression. Even if I went back to 4 plates, it can still be a progression, right? Because the way I'm doing the form. So when I was, let's say, 18, I could curl 60s, but I'm curling it like this, boom, boom. And now I might curl 50s, but I'm curling it like this. And it's like, well, you went lighter, but technically that's still a progression for my biceps because I'm not using my shoulders and back to lift it. So you can progress even if the weight is lighter, which sounds ridiculous, but it's possible, like you said.
I
But
know it's true.
It's
yeah,
true.
and that weight creeps back up. I saw Nick Walker completely change his form, and
Yeah.
he went from 200-pound dumbbells to 100, and now he's back up to like 120s, 130s. But now he's getting that
That's what I was
crazy
talking
grip.
about. Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly. So,
and the way Nick trains now is not the way Nick's a Jersey guy. It's not the way he used to train before. Nick used to train
stupid
super,
heavy.
like
Nobody knows
stupid.
that.
You
Nobody
know,
knows it. Yeah.
yeah, he used to train because he's kind of like a hometown hero here, right? So you see
Yeah.
all these kids here, and they're doing slow and steady with like 135 on the bar. I'm like, dude, you're not at that stage yet,
He
but
didn't start that way.
That's what I'm
he didn't
saying. They
start that.
didn't do the
He
stupid
started that
shit
way.
first.
Yeah.
Gotta
He
do the
was
stupid
training stupid
foundational
heavy.
shit.
Yeah.
But like you
Nick was
said,
so strong.
yeah,
Nick is so strong.
you're from Jersey, right? So I'm from New
Yeah.
York. And I remember seeing Nick. I actually had him. He was one of my first guests on the podcast when obviously he wasn't as popular back then, right? But he was
Yeah.
an amateur still. And I remember I used to try to challenge him, right? I would see him do something and I would tag him in it. Okay, you did the 200s, well, I did the 170, the 180. He was like, well, you still got a ways to go. But
At
he
30
was
pounds on a dumbbell is a lot, bro.
Yeah. He used to go 200 pound of dumbbell, Jersey Shore Fitness. He just looked at like nothing. So,
well,
yeah,
I think I seen him do a shoulder press with the 200 pounds, and I'm like, well, how is that even possible? Like, how you had to get like 3 people to pass you the dumbbell. I'm like,
yeah,
but a lot of
yeah,
people they don't know. Some people tell me, oh well, Nick trains light, and look how big he is. I'm like, well, first of all, he don't train light.
yeah.
That's not light. With his form, that's
Oh,
not.
look up.
But then on top of that, he did build a foundation first. We all do something similar. We do get strong at first, and then once you shoulder pressing 200-pound dumbbells, are you going to go to 250? Like, what
Where
do
do you
you?
go from there? Where do you go? Like, there's
They don't
nowhere to
make
go, man. You
they don't
know?
make
Gotta
them.
put the dumbbell on top of the other
Yeah,
dumbbell.
you're gonna put bands on it. You're gonna put chains on it. Like, what do
Yeah.
you're gonna tear your whole body up. So we basically reach close to like our peak strength, somewhere around there. Then we start to go back down, and that's the best thing you can do. And he's probably gonna work his way back up to like 160s, 180s with that perfect form, and that's gonna be scary because if we
Yeah.
see form like that for that heavy, that's gonna be insane, But I wanted to ask Ken what I was asking him before. I guess I don't know if he cut out or I dropped, but
No, my
I do
my,
have a
my
follow-up
internet dropped
question
out.
for
Yeah.
Ken.
huh?
Hey Ken, I have a question for you, bro.
You
Do you
guys,
Okay.
squat on your last leg day before your prep, before your show? I mean, yeah,
No,
on the
no,
last. You don't
no,
squat on that day.
no. I don't touch legs like from like 5, 6 days out. I don't
mm,
touch legs at all. Like no leg training whatsoever.
Yeah, on that final leg day though, do you squat? Because I always thought, or not, just honestly from personal experience, barbell squats always made my legs ovally shaped. Gives me
Yeah,
that round look in my quads. So I always made sure to squat like 4 sets to failure on my last leg day before the show, whatever
yeah,
that is, whenever that was.
yeah. Zid,
Normally 6 days out, yeah.
yeah,
So I
Zid.
was just asking because your legs were very round for that show, you
Yeah, I'm
know.
a, I'm a simple guy, Zid. Like my training doesn't change whatsoever. The only time it changes is towards the last, like, 3 to 4 days once you're trying to bring inflammation down, right? But my last actual leg day that I do is the same leg day I do from the beginning of prep. So I do squat. Yeah, I do a squat.
see,
Yeah.
Okay,
I
that's
don't
cool.
I don't barbell squat for like the last 4 weeks. when my calories get so low that when I squat, I'm so burnt out that I feel like the rest of my leg day suffers. That's when I start to pull out like squats and deadlifts, just
The,
because
the,
I'm so like fatigued. So I try
yeah,
to minimize fatigue by taking out movements that build fatigue. So I kind of trade that. I wouldn't do that if I didn't have to eat such little food though. So
I'll
yeah.
yeah, I'll be honest. I kind of just like push through as much as I can.
Mhm.
Like the one thing I do like Zayd, I don't know if you do this, but I squat as my last movement of my leg day because of that strength thing we're talking about, right? Like instead of if I start my leg days with my first compound movement is a squat, then I would have to use maximum weight. But when I put it towards the end of my workout, then 4 plates can be reasonably heavy. So that's what I try to do for a lot of my even like deadlifts. Like on my first back day of the week, I do deadlifts last versus doing it first. So those heavy compounds like that, I tend to put them at the back where I'm already fatigued, so I'm not using stupid weight, one, and two, like I can at least get maximal contraction with the littlest amount of weight possible on them.
Yeah.
That's
I
smart.
do the same. I squat as my fourth movement,
Yeah,
so that's pretty. I do the same thing. If something I'm strong at, I'm pushing it till the end. I don't
yeah,
focus on my weaknesses and try to go at those first. Make sure, from as you go into the gym, obviously you have the highest amount of energy and it goes
yeah.
down. So I try to use that up, whatever exercises I need to fill in the gaps. But I squat to there towards the end. I kind of agree with that. Yeah, but it makes it a lot harder, right? Like
Yeah.
my
Oh,
legs are fried up after that.
dude,
To save my knees, every leg day starts with leg
Extension.
curls and leg extensions. Like as much blood flow as I can get, as tight as I can get my legs, and then I feel safe the rest of the workout.
yeah,
Hell
Well,
yeah,
yeah.
And that also takes away from the heavy because you fatigued them so far that you can't go your heaviest.
yeah.
Always
like
My
the
fir-
uh
my first compound, I would do like a leg extension like you, Joe, and then my first compound movement was always a leg press, just because you can get as heavy as you want on there, not
yeah
going to
yeah.
kill you, and like your lower back is still you're still preserving your lower back. So by the time I get into the other heavier movements, like my body is still kind of fresh. It's just the legs that are just starting to burn out just a little bit. So I always do those two always stay staple, and then the squats is always at the end. But the in betweens, I can change that. I can change that in between, but those are always stable.
You know it's funny you say that. I've been doing hack squats and my lower back is the weight. Like by those top two sets that I do, my lower back is done. And I tried to do a leg press, and
And
I'm
you're
like,
just
shit.
fucked. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
so I'm gonna switch it for that reason. I
yeah,
just think about
yeah,
doing fuck
yeah. That's
because
why I
that
do
leg
leg
press
press.
is like way worse than it should be. Like
Yeah, your
it's
leg
like
press
shit.
is killing you.
Yeah, I'll just lay there for a second. Like, hold on, guys. Heavy man. We have a
Yeah.
conversation every day about that shit.
Hell yeah.
like um like Ken said though, I feel like there's so much to be learned from this podcast. Like I've learned so much from this podcast, even though I'm hosting it. But just small things that you don't even think about. Like for whatever reason, I never really thought about like exercise order. I don't know why, but it just didn't cross my mind. So that's an easy fix to my issue because if I'm super fatigued at the end of prep, yeah, squatting first is going to ruin the rest of my workout. But if I do everything first and then I squat last, that won't happen because I'm you're going to be tired no matter what during prep, so that's fine. But if I can squat last now, when I'm like I'll squat last and I'll be done with my workout and then I can go relax. So I don't build the fatigue up and then ruin the rest of my quad workout. Now I can get a great quad workout and finish with squats and then just be tired and go home and eat, which
Exactly.
kind of works out perfectly. So I don't have to take out the squats. I could just do it last, and that kind of solves the issue. So that's something I'm probably going to do now in my next prep. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Kind of reassuring though when you listen to somebody with like a really good body part, and then you feel like this is the only way to do it, and then like, oh, well, I do this to make this happen. It makes you like makes you feel better about it. Like, so for example, going from super heavy, and then you're like, well, you don't have to go that heavy. You can do this instead. Like, oh shit. Well, if he said it, then probably,
It must be right.
yeah.
Exactly. It makes sense. But yeah, I was asking Ken how much did he weigh this show and how much did he weigh that last show? Because I thought he looked good his last competition, but obviously he looked a lot better.
Yeah, you look better in this one. You look bigger.
Look at his
Yeah.
legs, man. Shit, your quads might be your best body part.
Yeah,
No.
it's so surprising, like when I hear that, because like I've always felt like my quads are just there, right? Like I don't consider it as like a one of my strongest suits, but I'm guessing I guess it is. I don't know. I don't
I'm
know.
gonna be honest. First time I ever saw you, that's the first thing I noticed.
Yeah. See, it's hard to say that when somebody's that balanced, right? Because I'm like, well, his shoulders are good, his chest is good, the arms are good, but his legs still stand out. I got to be honest with you.
But
His
they're not too overpowering. They're like,
yeah, they're in balance.
the balance is there still.
I mean, even the glutes and hams are pretty good. Yeah, I mean, that's just a good physique overall, man. You can't
Yeah,
go like
I feel like
Mhm.
yeah, I feel like that's the thing, right? So like I guess because I'm so balanced, I feel like I don't have like a wow body part, everything is kind of just everything is kind of set in place the way it is. I guess, in fact, the only thing I would have considered was okay, maybe he's got good abs. That's about it, But everything is just balanced. That's kind of how I see it. But I mean, thank you guys. I mean, what was your question, Beatty? The
Oh
first
yeah,
question.
How much did you weigh?
how much does he weigh? Yeah,
Yeah. So actually, because on RX, let me clarify on this show. RX, I was like, I told him I was 223 because I was. But the actual that was the actual day before we started weigh-ins. So the weigh-in day, but the actual day of the show, Andrew reminded me we had actually dropped down to about 219. So I was 219 on actual show day. So on the right that you're posting here is nationals. Nationals, I weighed in at exactly 225 on the dot. Exactly on the dot, 225. And we had killed me to get to that weight. So I wasn't prepped by Andrew, by the way, on the right, just to clarify. But so the difference between these two shots, I would say, is maybe like 7 or 8 pounds.
you look bigger in the left.
But the detail in your legs heavily stands out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
It came out. It came out with better condition. Your legs have more detail.
You almost have a film of water over you on the right.
yeah,
yeah, yeah. And it's like, when you put them side by side, it's kind of like, damn, he looks fat on the right, but on the actual show day on stage, it didn't look that bad. It's when you put, and that's something about conditioning. Like when you put someone or you put a photo of someone that's ultra conditioned next to someone who's not, exposes them a lot more. You know what I mean? So like, yeah, it was just interesting because Nationals last year was it was the first time that I got to admit that loss was I took it very hard. I'll be honest. I took it very hard because you guys weren't at the show, and there's no stream, but I didn't even get a call out, guys.
I was at the show, Ken.
Oh, you were at the show, Zayd. You were there. So
Yeah.
did you see what happened to me? You saw what happened to
I
me,
got fourth. I got fourth that year on the national show.
dude.
I
I
saw
didn't
you
even.
backstage, but you were running all everywhere, right?
Yeah, I didn't even get a call out. So they called the first call out. They called the second call out, and I was like, okay, I guess I'm in third. I guess I'm in third call out. This national show it's a waste of time. It's a bust. And then towards the end of second call out, they called my number. They put me on the left, did a front double bicep, and then they moved me to the right, did a back double bicep, and then they shuffled us off the stage, and I came eighth. That was my nationals. Like, 10 seconds on stage. And at the time, I thought I didn't even place. I thought it was over. I was like, this sucks. Like I killed myself to get here, and here I am, not even being considered to even try and compete with the rest of the crowd. Like I felt like they didn't even consider me to even fight for a position. Somehow I ended up coming eighth, and Jamal came ninth, which is so funny because I came eighth, Jamal came ninth, Josh Manley at the USA's came 10th. So it's just interesting to see, right? And at North Americans, Jamal and I were top two, right? So
That
we
was
ended up,
awesome. Yeah.
yeah. We didn't even. It's almost like it was the opposite of what happened in nationals, right? I didn't even get to be called with the rest of the actual heavyweights. It was just me and Jamal in the two-man call out, and that was my prejudging. So just some interesting stuff. Just some interesting
But you
stuff.
know what? I think anybody looking at that, even a coach, if you showed him that picture and you told him what happened, I guarantee you, all he worried about was getting that watery layer off you, because
Yeah,
that's the first thing they look at. That's why Justin plays it the way he does. He'd rather you come in like flat, but like streamlined condition, and then just fill you up as you go. Because if you're not conditioned, they don't even give you a chance. You're already out of the first call out.
right.
I think that's what happened with you. But your shape and development was so good they couldn't like place you that far. So
Yeah,
eighth without having the conditioning you needed. Considering that's actually not that bad.
yeah. Because
I don't know, dude.
top right,
Eighth in the nation, that's pretty good.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like you would have been undeniable if you looked the way you did on the left.
yeah. Because top right was the day after the show. Beatty, if you wanna show that of nationals. Right there. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the day after the show. So I wasn't like bad, but it's just I don't know what happened. I'll be honest. Like
Were you nervous?
it was
Were
my
you like
first.
super nervous?
It was my first national. There was a lot. So there was a lot of things that were happening behind the scenes. I could tell you guys off air, but I don't want to put this out to the world. Just because it affects some people, and I don't want that on air. But there were a lot of issues, I would say, going into it. From just everything from getting there to the actual show day. There was a lack of communication, and it was my first national show, and it was kind of like I was rolling into it on my own, which I kind of shouldn't have, to be quite honest with you. So I'll leave it at that. But if you want to ask Joe, we could talk
That's
about
what I'm saying. Like
it.
that looked like a stress level amount of water on your body. It didn't look like extra fat or nothing. It looked like
Yeah,
stress,
Because
and that's why I was asking.
he doesn't look too far off here, and this is a day after probably eating junk food.
yeah,
That's what
He
I'm saying. But
doesn't.
it's like I'm sure it's just like the stress of the show and whatever happened in the background was like, well, fuck it, it's over now. So like, there's nothing to worry about.
yeah,
But you know what's
Yeah.
crazy? When you miss, right? People automatically think that you didn't work hard, you're lazy, you came in fat. You only have to be off like 5-10% and hold a little bit of water to look completely off, right? So it's
oh
like
yeah,
it could be like you said, it was like a 5 pound difference, or how much?
yeah. Like
Six
5, 6
pounds.
pounds. Yeah, 6 pound
Yeah.
difference.
Yeah.
It doesn't take much weight or much water or much fat to have you come in last place versus like first call out,
Yeah.
because in 2021, right? I was 2021. I think it was 2022, whatever year I did USA and got last call out versus this one getting first call out. It was like, yeah, of course I was harder and leaner, but it's like I wasn't like super fat. Like, I was off by like 6 pounds, let's say. But it's so drastic because everybody's on, right? So that'll move you. If you're not peeled, it just moves you all the way down. Your
Yeah,
same muscle bellies, your same size, just being that little bit off will literally bring you to the back of the pack. So he literally went from almost last place to first place by a landslide. And he won by a huge margin. and he was literally last place the year before, right? He didn't turn into a different person. It's just being off that little bit. Just
Exactly.
he
Yeah.
probably could have worked even harder this prep, for all I know, right? He could have worked harder this prep than he did for the one he won. So it's not always like a work thing. Sometimes you just miss, and if you miss, you can look like the last place guy.
And I want to say too, like proper guidance is also very important, and that's why I posted that on that comparison with my nationals and North Americans. Proper guidance is important because, man, I worked after nationals last year. I started working with Andrew because we went into an off season after that. So, and I'll say it on air here. He freaking changed my life. Like I felt like I was bodybuilding for the first time.
Okay.
I felt like there were things that I should have known that I didn't even know. And he, reworked everything from my training. I was training 6 days a week prior to getting with Andrew. He moved me to 3 days on, 1 day off. So I was getting more rest in between my actual training sessions, and I've never done that before. I've always trained 6 days a week, and you hear it all the time on some podcasts or whatever. And this person is like, "Oh, I started doing 5 days a week," but you're like, it worked for him. It's probably not going to work for me. I've been doing 6 days a week my entire life, and I'm big, so it's probably not going to work for me. But it changed for me. My lower, I would say, compared to last year, my hamstring and glute development from the back definitely came up significantly, significantly. So that was the first thing that changed. And then, of course, from the diet perspective, I've always had to diet on lower food, but that also changed significantly, just in the fact that, of course, the portion sizes were different. My protein consumption was a little bit higher. In the past, I was always, because my weight would go up so high, I was kind of also restricted, to like a 5-6 ounce. It went up a little bit, during the off season, and then as we got into prep and we started digging for conditioning, we started to bring it down. But that was it. And then we had a very short off season, relatively short off season, but it was kind of an aggressive one where it was like he didn't care how much body fat I put on. It was just like, we're just going to force feed you and we're going to get you up there. And that's that transformation that he posted where I kind of look like I don't even, I look like I don't even lift for a little bit, but that was where that off season kind of went through,
But
and then
dude, it all panned out at the end,
Andrew
you know?
One.
Yeah, I work at Andrew. Yeah.
Like Patrick.
I was like, I wonder what Patrick Tour has to do with this conversation.
Yeah.
I was like, did Baby just go off in his own little world? Fuck what everybody else was talking about.
Let's look at Patrick's clients. Oh man. Okay, so let me see if I can find it.
Yeah, it's going to be shortly down here. Yep, right there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
That's not as bad as my off season.
Yes. So we kind of pushed me up. It was a little bit more food than I was used to, but he needed to do that to kind of bring me, to start bringing me down. So it was a very different prep that I've ever done in the past.
It is weird because every time I see like the heaviest, most out of shape off seasons always translates to the best looks on stage.
Bro,
Yeah.
I don't remember if I have a picture. I don't know if Ken's seen how fat I get.
Oh yeah,
that's what I was gonna say, man. And like Joe, I think I saw one from you. And I think you hit like an ab and thigh. And I'm like, man, only the brave hit an ab and thigh.
Bro, I don't give a fuck.
Or side
tricep. Like, I know I get peeled. I don't give a fuck.
You're trying to grab that tricep, you can't reach.
Bro, I did my check-ins today. I could barely grab my fucking tricep.
But it always happens. Like, you remember when they used to be like, you would see like Kai Green looking huge and shredded, and then Phil and Sean look like soft and stuff off season. and then you get to stage, and then
Oh,
Sean,
go down, baby.
Sean and Phil will always be shredded.
I think me and Paul have a posing video where I'm at my heaviest.
Oh yeah, let me see if I can find
Yeah,
it.
go down. Oh, there's my side chest right there.
Oh yeah. Oh, there we go.
And then the next one you see my stage shot, I think. Or no, see there, yeah. Look at those titties.
Yeah, man, you hit that side. Okay, you hit the Dorian side tricep. That's why. If you had to hit the traditional, man, that's not happening.
That's not gonna happen, bro. I'll
But
fall over.
Joe
He can't reach. He can't reach. Probably.
Joe is brave that he has on posing trunks and he's hitting abs and thighs and side triceps.
Yeah, his dog is just Byron the whole thing, you know.
Well, he's been in since day one. Ride or die.
Oh, there you go. And he's shredded.
Yeah.
When you guys send your check-ins to the coach, do you guys do all mandatories or you just pick a few poses? For me, I only do all mandatories. Yeah.
Yeah, Andrew wants all mandatories. Typically, like the first time we started working together, Zayd, I did the same thing, right? You're in off season. It's like I'm not sending that a thigh. Hell no. You know?
No, but I feel like it's almost like you're only as good as your fattest pose.
Yeah.
So it's like, let me see how fat you're really getting. Don't show me your best. I need to see the worst.
Yeah.
So I know how far I can really push you.
Yeah, he makes me send every single one. Every single one of them.
Straight up, I'll have man boobs before my abs are gone. I keep my abs for so long. It doesn't matter.
Wait, Zayd, do you self prep or you work with someone?
No, I work with Brad Rowe. He's my coach.
Okay, that's why the newbie fit. Okay, I get it now. Okay.
Yeah, dude. Honestly, it's been good. It's been good. That machine has helped me a lot, and I want to get to that level. This muscularity is my goal. Is to be around 240 on stage. So that means you have to be 260 in the off season, or maybe 265. You know. But at the end of the day, look how it's just translating into really good looks on stage.
Right there.
Know?
Oh shit!
Oh yeah.
Damn.
You're a brave guy.
You were between poses there, right?
No, but you know what? Even the arms, your arms look smaller on the left too.
That was, on the right, that's arm pump day.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, bro, but that was 274 right there. That's the first time I looked like that.
That's crazy.
But I didn't give a fuck. I was strong as hell.
Well, you're leaner than that now at 290.
Yeah. Oh, but look, see how I still have abs?
Yeah.
Like they're still faintly there.
Oh yeah, you do that too.
How fat I get doesn't matter. I still have abs a little bit.
I'm with you. Me and you have that same
trait, huh?
The abs never go, man.
Bro, I swear, my coach would be like, "Well, they're still there. Well, you keep pushing you." Okay.
Keep pushing it. Hey man, Compton, he pushes in both directions because you know when you're eating, you're like, bro, you're gonna up the food again. But then when you're dieting too, you be like, yeah, he's definitely gonna give me like a refeed day. And he pulls it down again. He's like, bro, holy fuck, you know. But I mean, it works, man. Honestly, like everything he says always works, man. It works. I gotta be honest with you.
So that's what it takes to get peeled. You know, you have to eat little and do a lot. And it's the opposite of in the off season. You have to eat more and do a lot. You know,
some big weight. This is
that's impressive.
This is old school Joe. When Joe used to bang the heavy weight, man.
Yeah, see, that's when at that point I was like, "Fuck, man!" Like, I remember how I felt after that set. Like, shit just hurt. I was like,
You feel your elbows more than you feel it in your chest, you know?
I mean, my chest was pumped as shit, but so was everything else.
Bro,
shoulder girdles just like shaking, you know?
Man.
It probably took you 20 minutes to put the elbow sleeves on.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
Bro, It took me 20 minutes just to be mentally prepared to do that shit because I was scared as hell.
It was.
bro.
After
I
doing,
gotta
like,
check out
before
the new.
doing any steps like that, I always pray, like, God, please hold everything together.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
it's a real thing, bro. Pre top set is a and anxiety is a real thing. You know.
It
Yeah.
really is. You don't know what's going to happen.
Man,
Exactly.
I would get so anxious for the squats, and the way it is, like the whole gym, like they anticipate the whole gym kind of stops and they go like this and they just stare at me. I'm like,
Yeah,
oh,
man.
I really, I don't want to do this weight today. I don't. And they're like, come on, yeah. And I'm like, I know you guys are supporting, but I'm so anxious right now. I don't even want anybody to look at me. I just want to.
Bro, especially when they're like, you ask somebody to record the set. Like, fuck, now this is going to be on camera.
Well, but the thing is, you always hit the weight. You always get it, but it doesn't stop you from being anxious. You always get anxious, man. You're like, is today going to be the day that something goes wrong? You know, it's just too much for me. But I wanted to take a look at
You
Samson.
guys want to do some predictions for the Olympia?
How many weeks we got? Is it
6 more weeks.
6 weeks.
So,
Yeah.
honestly, my predictions probably won't change because I don't necessarily go by how you look into the show. I mostly go by like your potential and like your track record and how fast you're improving, right? Because picture
Yeah.
nowadays, with the filters and everything, you don't really know, it's perfect lighting and filters. You don't really know who's gonna look what. All you can really go by is
I
like,
can give you a top 5 right now.
let's do it.
My top 5 is going to be Derek, and then Hottie, Samson, Nick, and Brandon Curry.
Oh, that's a solid.
Okay. So
And you, Ken, you can go.
so actually, Joe, mine is similar to yours. The only thing I'm gonna sub out, and it's in no particular order, but Brandon, I'm gonna sub for Andrew Jack.
Oh,
Oh, that's
Oh,
that's actually a pretty good swap. I don't think
Yeah.
Brandon's going to leave the top 5 still, but I think Andrew would definitely be a perfect 6th spot.
I feel like the way Andrew and Samson have been progressing, Andrew, Samson, and Derek,
yeah,
those
crazy.
three, the way they've been progressing over the past couple of months to a year, I think they're going to end up leaving like in the next 2 years. I think those are your top three, man. I really, really believe if they keep going at this same trajectory that they're going.
I can see
I
that.
believe that too, but I think this will be the last year that Brandon's in that top 5, just because I think Andrew still has like that one more like push before he can like close off the holes that he has, and then bring in that little bit better conditioning by closing off those holes.
Let me ask you guys, because everyone always says this. Oh, this person needs to fill out his frame more. Do you guys ever feel like a guy like Andrew could ever really fill out that frame? Like everyone always says that, but you never actually see them fill it out, right? Like Tony Freeman, he never even really filled out his frame. The frame is just what it is.
Yeah,
Um, so like when everyone is always like, oh, he needs to fill out his frame, like I don't think that would ever really realistically happen. He's in his late 30s too. So I think that just with the shape, and he's bringing conditioning and hardness now with the muscularity that he already has. I feel like it's already enough what he's bringing right now, and the fact that he beat a really good Hunter, who I believe Hunter is going to be in that top 7 bracket himself.
Yeah.
I feel like
yeah.
the trajectory is just so high. I can't see, and with what I was saying with Dave Palumbo before, because the lineup now, all these tall guys are coming in. The Olympia used to be a big guy that's relatively shorter. Those are the guys you would see in the top 5. But once you start bringing in those 6-footers, you put them next to a guy who's shorter. It kind of shifts your eyes a little bit, right? So like if you put Samson, Andrew, Nick, and let's say Brandon next to each other, right? Even if Nick on paper is the better bodybuilder, he kind of sticks out, right? Because he's the shortest guy and he doesn't flow as well as the other four, right? So you could almost make a case within that lineup that he won't be number one. And I think that's kind of what is going to start happening within the Mr. Olympia as we start to move into these next couple of years. I could just see the writing on the wall for some reason. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I got Derek winning. Second is Nick. Third is Hadi. Fourth is Samson. Fifth is what's his name? Rizzo.
Crizzo. Okay.
Yeah.
Let me
That's my top five.
let me actually write this down. You said
I
Derek,
mean,
Hadi,
no, Derek, Nick,
uh-huh,
Hadi,
uh-huh,
and fourth would be Samson, and then fifth is Crizzo. And
Rizzo.
then after that would be Hunter and who's left? I can't think about
Andrew.
Andrew Jackson.
Oh yeah, definitely
Brandon-
Andrew before
Going
Hunter.
back to what you were
Andrew,
saying,
Brandon Curry
Andrew
too.
before Hunter. Yeah.
Oh,
I
Brandon.
forgot about that.
The Brandon.
Andrew,
Oh, God
like
damn.
Andrew was gonna lose to Hunter if Hunter didn't fade.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah,
But
that is
because
so
Andrew
true.
That's true. That's true.
was more prepared posing wise,
He was.
that's why he lost. So
That's true.
his holes are exposed. It's just he came in more prepared.
That's true.
I mean,
Okay. To go back to Ken. Ken was talking about filling out, right?
yeah,
That's another thing. Okay. Most people never actually fill out, but if you do, and you're like 6 foot and above, or even 5'10", 5'11", it's not always a good thing, because when Ronnie was completely filled out, that wasn't Ronnie's best look. When Phil Heath was completely filled out, I don't think that was Phil's best look. I think you can overdo it. I don't think you have to reach the complete capacity. I think you have to reach where it looks like you have enough muscle. Whereas I feel like Andrew is really close to looking like he has enough muscle. I think hamstrings, glutes, and back. He doesn't
That's
have
it.
to. He doesn't have to just be completely fill out his frame. I don't think that's the point. I think if you do, I think Hunter's frame is a lot fuller than Andrew's, and look what that cost him. He couldn't control his stomach. Right, the first couple of rounds he hit a vacuum perfect, and then he started just breathing heavy, and that's why he lost. Right, and part of that is he filled his frame up a lot more than Andrew. Andrew, he can pose all day because he's still pretty like comfortable in his body. Right,
now, bro, Psycho Fitness put him through some hell, bro.
he
Put
did.
heaters on, had him posing for like an hour straight. I mean,
Yeah.
I know Hunter didn't do that. I know for a
What,
fact that-
what Suleiman told me, because Suleiman went to go see him at Psycho's camp, and Psycho would put him in a sauna and have
yeah,
him posing in a sauna
Oh,
like consistently every single day. I mean, we've all done like posing rounds, right? You've all done posing rounds going in, but when you're doing it in a sauna where you can't even breathe,
yeah.
I mean, it makes sense why the guy, like, 3 rounds in, he's not even breaking a sweat.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Fatigue itself, heat fatigues you, so you're not going to get fatigued by a stage light when you've been in a sauna.
Yeah.
It's just like,
That's true. But you know what I've also seen? I think as you get bigger and bigger and bigger, it's easier to pose because you're not flexing too hard because you have tons of muscle.
You don't
I'm
have-
not there yet, but I noticed the bigger guys, they kind of pose more, with endurance, because when they have so much muscle, you don't have to flex much. You just have to twist and turn, raise your arms, and kind of give it a little contraction, and it's all good.
The only counter issue is your stomach, because I've always had a small waist.
Exactly, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, and I still do compared to my size and other super heavyweights. But I have to be mindful of my stomach now, where I didn't have to before. I could just pulse however I wanted, and my stomach would be perfectly flat and chiseled. Now I'm like, with these transitions, I have to like pull it in, because but I don't have to flex. Like, I was so flat at USA, I couldn't flex. I was just holding my arms up. I couldn't actually flex, but it looks like I'm flexing, like you said, because you have enough tissue. But my stomach,
Exactly. Yeah.
stomach, I do have to pull it in the shots, which if you get big enough, eventually the stomach starts to, you got to hold it in, man. We've even seen it with guys with small waists, like we've seen it with even Sean Roden, we've seen it with even Dexter, whereas, if they're not careful and they relax, the stomach, or Phil he did have a small waist, right? So you do have to pull in that stomach, but the rest of your body, you really don't have to flex. I mean, you just kind of you half-ass and it's already popping.
That transition from the back lat spread to the side try, like, you let your air out when you're showing your back.
Yeah.
So, like, right before I turn, I suck that bitch up and then I hit my side try.
You got really good stomach control. You got really
It's hard, though, man. Like you said, when you're heavy, it's like, I think you're really good at it by eating so much food and then trying to hit the side try for your coach. Like, you guys make fun of me for doing it helps.
I do the Milos method. Like my abs, I'm always just like constantly aware. Like even as I'm sitting right now, they're contracted. And I just try to keep them in all the time, and then also posing sessions help. So I did a lot of, for the North Americans, I did a lot of posing with my boy Sid. He's probably going to turn pro next year since he's coming back. He's another crazy guy on the scene, so look out. But we would do posing rounds for an hour, every Sunday, and the same thing. Just got to hold it in during the transitions and stuff like that. If you don't practice it, you're not gonna realize when you're actually on stage, because especially when you hit the back shots, like the back double or the front double. No, sorry, the back double and the back lat spread, they take so much out of you, because you're holding your glutes and your hand. It takes so much out of you. So if you're not practicing that stuff, once you turn, like Joe said, once you turn, man, it's over. Like you're just gonna be hanging out, hanging out over there.
So I'm gonna give my top 5, right? And for me, it's just like simple, like mathematics, I guess you could call it. It's like, okay, you had Hadi win last year, Derek second. I believe Derek made more improvements than Hadi did, and I believe it was really close. He had him really in maturity from the front. I feel like Derek brought up his quads, chest, and shoulders up a lot. I think Derek's going to leapfrog him, beat Hadi. So
some judges had Derek winning after prejudging last year.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So he's not. I mean, honestly, I think that's like only him. He did that. No one ever was first place in any eyes of the judges from their pro debut. I mean, from their Olympia debut. That is crazy. So I think he's definitely gonna edge him out.
Exactly. So that would push Hadi to second. But me personally, I feel like Samson's improvements have been so drastic in him winning the Arnold. I think he has some momentum, if you believe in momentum. But anytime you have somebody 300 pounds on stage, even if he's not bone dry shredded, he has really good shape and he's lean enough, blasting full at 300 pounds on stage, and he's not 6'8", he's 5'11". I think he might have enough to beat Hadi. So I'll put Samson in second. I'll put Hadi in third. I think Hadi's a phenomenal bodybuilder. I personally don't really like his look that much, but I definitely respect what he brings to the stage as a bodybuilder. I got him in third. Fourth was Brandon last year. I believe Brandon will be way more improved, but I believe he'll land in fourth again because the other guys still improved more than he did. Well, not improved, but he was spilled over, right? And he still got fourth spilled over. He's not going to be spilled over this time. I think that'll put him in the same position, even though he's improved. And then Ramy was fifth. Ramy is out. Even if Ramy was here, I don't know if he would have got fifth. I think Andrew already leapfrogged Hunter. He already leapfrogged Ramy at the Arnold. So regardless of Ramy there or not, I think Andrew would have got fifth. So that's my top 5: Derek, Samson, Hadi, Brandon, and Andrew. I think
you think Nick's going to be out of that top 5?
By Nick, yeah.
Oh shit! I left Nick out. Holy fuck! So I'm sorry.
Bro.
Yeah, I was gonna
You
say
talking
that because
you talking
Brandon
reckless,
didn't
baby.
do much. You know,
Like, I would not ask you to
Damn.
gamble for me.
Talking reckless right now.
I completely forgot Nick. I apologize for that. Damn, I feel like Nick can beat Hottie, man. I feel like Nick can beat Hottie. I don't know if he'll beat him this year. I think at some point, I mean, he's younger than him. I mean, at some point he will. I don't know if it's gonna be this year. I hate to put Nick in fourth, but I think I'm gonna have to put Nick in fourth.
Even I put Nick in fourth because I don't see him beating Hottie. I just,
Yeah.
I think Hottie brings first of all, his legs, that's Nick's weakness when it comes to balance in his physique. And
yeah.
Hottie just got a better balance because of his legs and then the conditioning that he brings. So I'm like, I think Nick brings great conditioning, but it sacrifices his legs.
They're both playing the same game, and Hottie's better at it. You know, that conditioning. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, they're playing a conditioning, size, and density game.
Yeah.
And then you can say maybe Nick has the size edge, but Hottie has the density and conditioning.
And the conditioning, yeah.
By far. And
that's why Derek is going to win, because he's the sweet spot between all these guys. Yes, he's an American, so he would probably do a better job promoting the sport of bodybuilding versus the Middle Eastern guys that have been winning for the last few years, because you never see them, even as a Mr. Olympia, you know, they take that title and they go, but we never hear from them. We don't see them. We don't see what they do with the title, you know, like in terms of as an ambassador for the sport. Derek, it would be a better fit for this, not just physically, but as a role, because he's more outspoken, he's more accessible, if you may. And I think he would do a better job than what Brandon did back in the day when he was Mr. Olympia. Brandon did a great job being an ambassador of the sport that year. So I think that could also play in terms of why Derek might win over Hottie or over Nick, because he can be that as well. You know?
Yeah, I think, and to be quite honest with you, I agree with you, Zaid. But you know, in Hottie's defense, to be quite honest with you, the fact that he's from Iran and he's you know, he's the Mr. Olympia, like, I'm even surprised that he's actually able to make it to the Mr. Olympia. Like, Belarus can't even make it to the Olympia. They're from the same country. You know what I mean? And Iran is kind of just like shut out right now from the rest of the world with the political stuff that's going on there. So obviously Hottie would never have been able to do a better job than Brandon, being that he's not from a Western nation. But the guy was handicapped, you know, based on where he lives to begin with the Olympia title. And based on the way he's been posting, I kind of feel like he's pissed off that people have kind of just like written him off. You know what I mean? Like,
he is pissed off.
He's pissed off. Yeah. Pissed off. But I agree. I can't see them giving it to Hottie if it's close, based on just that. If what happened in the Europa, Spain, just based on that fact alone, just from a business perspective, if it's close enough, I can't see them giving it to Hottie, even if he's the reigning champion.
Yeah.
And Hottie's like Andrew. He can fucking pose all day, all night, no problem. So that he has a great posing endurance. So that plays a big role for somebody who can flex for a long time on stage.
Someone like Hottie, he does not deserve to slip more than one placing. I think he will. I think he's going to lose the title to Derek because Derek has so much more to offer, and then he's more complete as far as just the whole look, like the shape. He has the one thing Hottie doesn't, the shape too. Yeah. So, but I do not think Samson has enough to jump in front of Hottie just yet. There's no way in my mind that Hottie lost due to digression or anything. Like, I just think Derek's that good.
I think so. I think so.
Yeah, too. I can't see it.
I'm not a fan of the lumps, man. I feel like as a pro, you shouldn't be able to see a bunch of injection sites. I feel like either you have to get better gear or you have to put it in better places. But you shouldn't look at a pro. Like, we've never looked at Phil Heath and been like, oh, Phil been shooting his glutes and delts and back, and you've never done that, because you got to be professional. You got to be polished. So I don't like the edgy shoulders and the lat lumps and stuff like that. I think he has to do something about that. I'm sure Hani Because there was some text that came out of Hani telling him, "Yo, stop shooting your delts, stop shooting your delts." Like I'm sure he's on top of him, but I think Hadi sometimes does his own stuff, like with the training. Hani tells him, "Bro, don't try to T-bar road 12 plates, man." But he'll do it.
He doesn't give a damn, man.
He don't
He
care.
he does like walking lunges with like 315. He does not care, man.
He don't care. You know?
Ridiculous.
So hopefully that comes down a little bit. I don't think it's Synthol. Like, come on, like he's not putting Synthol on his last. I don't think that's a thing personally. And I think it's just gear, but he I don't know what kind of gear he's getting, but it shouldn't be leaving him that inflamed. I think he needs to fix that, but he already won, so
you know what I think it is, bro? I think out there in Iran, I think they don't have enough chiropractors and all those people like help with scar tissue and scraping the muscles and stuff like that. I don't think he does that. So because scraping could really take care of this thing he has in his delts. You know, he just needs to work on it. But I think if you live in Iran, I don't think you're going to be doing that on a weekly basis because these guys shoot up a lot more than they have to break down with the scraping. You know, so it piles up really quick, and I think it could be a lack of just scraping. He needs to have somebody that could do scraping on him. You know.
Because those delts, I would bet money he's not still pinning his delts. I don't think he can. I don't think he could put a needle in that delt.
Scar tissue, man. Yeah, he's got too much scar tissue. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's gonna have to work that shit out some way or the other. But yeah, so I'm gonna have I said Derek, Samson, Hadi, then I'm gonna say Nick, then Brandon. I think Brandon is slept on because it's like people don't realize how massive he is because he's a shape guy, right? So it's like, well, he's a shape guy. Brandon is fucking massive, you know, on stage, you know, off season, he's not that big, but while he's on stage, he's fucking huge. So he's pretty huge with really good shape. I don't believe his legs are a weakness unless he's super flat. I think his legs were a weakness. Whatever he doesn't have in quad sweep, he makes up and add that to it. I think he has a pretty balanced physique. Not like Samson. I think Samson's obviously going to beat him, but I think Brandon's a very legitimate bodybuilder. I don't think he's ready to drop outside of the top 5 yet. If he does, it'll be to Andrew, but I don't know if that's going to be this year. It can be, you know, but I don't think it's going to be this year. I think Brandon more years. I think next year Andrew's probably going to catch him, if I'm being honest. But this year, I think he has enough roundness, fullness, and condition to hold off. And
the problem with Brandon, like, and let me just preface: I love Brandon's physique. I love everything about the guy. Awesome father, awesome family man. I love the guy. The problem is, you know, yeah, he has quads, but why it always looks like he's a little bit imbalanced is because his top is so bubbly, right?
Right.
Yeah, but then you come to the bottom and then his quads don't actually sweep. They just sweep straight down. But the rest of him from the top, it kind of rounds out, right? So it kind of looks like he doesn't actually, it's like the top of his leg where the quad meets the hip. It's almost like the same problem that Nick has. So it looks straight down versus actually flaring out. So it looks like he doesn't have quads. That's why when he turns to the side and he does a side chest, his legs are massive.
They're very,
but from the front, it doesn't look that way. But the difference between him and Nick is his upper body from the front is so flowy, right? It's so bubbly. So it's like, how could the legs not be bubbly when the top is so bubbly itself? And that's why that disparity looks so greater on Brandon versus like a Nick. And I think, and to be honest, like, this is where I would disagree with you, Beatty. I think that's what's going to hurt him in this top 5, because when you look at all those guys, Andrew included, for a guy that's so tall, all of their legs are massive and all of them sweep from the hip. So he's the one guy that stands out, you know?
Facts.
Imagine Brandon Curry with Carlos Thomas legs.
Oh,
Mr. Yeah.
Damn, that would be a
Yeah,
show.
right there.
man, all,
Yeah,
all Carlos has to really do is come and peel to the bone, man. That guy is, bro. That's an
fucking tank.
incredible,
Yeah.
incredible bodybuilder. Yo, Ken, you wouldn't happen to be Nigerian, would you?
I am Nigerian.
It's oh come, I knew it. We always talk about Nigerians.
They're
Nigerians,
dominating the sport for sure.
like I just picked that up a little bit. I heard like you have like a 5% accent, but
Yeah.
I didn't hear it till just now. You know,
Yeah.
I always say, Mhm.
I'm the only Nigerian that's not 6 foot though. Every single one of them.
Hey man,
They're all so tall.
you got the structure. You got the structure, the muscle bellies. I always say I missed being Nigerian by like 1 mile. I'm Ghanaian, so
I'm
I'm
Ghanaian. Okay, so you're with Bonak. So you and Bonak.
exactly.
You're with Bonak. You know.
Yo, Nigerians, man, taking over the damn sport, bro. It's crazy. It's crazy. But the sport, it's like it's not big over there though. So most Nigerians that come here start bodybuilding, but nobody's bodybuilding in Nigeria, right? It's not like a thing.
Yeah, it's like I think Ghanaians and Nigerians are similar, right? It's a cultural thing. So, culturally speaking, you know, and it's not just in bodybuilding. You look at MMA as well. You know, there's like a Nigerian takeover. I think what's happening is, you know, the culture itself is so heavily focused on education
Yeah.
and sports is kind of looked at as you're not going to make any money from it, so why bother? Right.
Yeah.
So a lot of these kids, they'll play sports maybe when they're kids or whatever, but they don't see a future in it. So by the time they get into their teens, they kind of stop and they focus on school and education and stuff like that. But the world's changed, right? And a lot of these guys that maybe they don't have the financial means to, you know, maybe go to school or do all these things, they're starting to see that, you know what, sports is actually an avenue that I can actually make it out. And that's why you're seeing these guys, especially in MMA, they come from nowhere. I mean, from like literally nowhere, you know, like Ramon Dino status, and then they're killing it, you know, in the MMA. Meanwhile, for us in bodybuilding, it's kind of like we're not on that point yet, but we're kind of the guys that are kind of like, you know what, we're not in Nigeria, but we know that we've always enjoyed sports and we can take it to that next level. I think there's this, and you know what I'm talking about, Beatty, because the old, you know, you're like a new generation. The old generation, they're kind of like, you got to be an engineer,
Oh
you
yeah.
got to be a lawyer. If you're not any one of those things, I don't even want to hear it from you. Meanwhile, the new generation is kind of like, well, that's not what I enjoy. I like to do X, Y, Z, and I'm going to push and pursue that. And I think that's why we're seeing a lot more Nigerians going into like stuff like sports and like in bodybuilding, for example. You're seeing some of us, you know, kind of coming out of the woodworks.
Man, I swear, my mom tried to blackball me from playing sports. She's like,
Yeah.
you gotta be a doctor and lawyer. I'm like, you be a doctor. I don't I
Story of
want
my
to play
life,
sports,
dude.
man. This is my
You
Yeah,
told her.
look at all of us too, Beatty, right? Like Andrew's an engineer. Like I'm an engineer. Like, you know, Samson, you know, Samson was in London. I don't really know, but a lot of us before we transitioned into this, we were already doing like something else. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think it's a cultural shift that's happening. That's why we're starting to see more Nigerians. And kind of like with anything else, right? Like a little kid sees, you know, like I know Blessing has gone back to Nigeria and he's been able to like kind of promote it a little bit. A kid like that sees Blessing. I kid you not, in the next like 3-4 years, it's going to be like the Middle East, right? Where these guys are just coming out of nowhere. All he needs is someone that can just go there and sponsor these guys because these guys didn't grow up eating Domino's like we did, man. They could diet on chicken and rice for the rest of their lives because that's normal to them, you know. So they would just freaking kill it.
I was gonna be dope.
No problem.
Well,
Yeah.
speaking of chicken and rice, I feel like everybody got to go eat at this point.
I was gonna say,
I
man.
got to start me already. I was like, you guys saw me what I'm going.
I was like, damn, Joe got a meal in, man. I gotta get mine.
Honestly, bro, I took a nap before this, and I was like, fuck it, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, no,
There's 4 people on here. You guys talk while I do this.
you got to do what you got to do, man. I
Yeah,
think people like real too. Like when the podcast is real, if you got to go take a piss, you got to go eat. You got to do what you got to do. At the end of the day, we still got a body build, man. We still got a body build. But
exactly.
like Ken was saying, you see a lot of like older retired pros do podcasts, but you don't really see podcasts where like all like younger guys, amateurs, new pros. That's not something that I really saw. So that's really the kind of people I like having on, you know what I'm saying? Just to it gives a different point of view because sometimes maybe they forget some of these things or it's so second nature to them that they don't mention it. Like people don't talk about what they have to do to make weight because pros usually don't make weight unless classic or 212, I guess. But they don't talk about what they have to do to make weight, how their metabolism is different. There's a lot of things that I don't hear some of the pro podcasts talk about that maybe they don't think about, but things that a lot of people can relate. And I get DMs of people be like, yeah, from like top amateurs, like, yo, this is true, this is true. And like, I think this is dope, for like, people at that level to have something to relate to more and somebody closer to their age and not somebody saying, back in my day, we used to eat fucking chicken breast, no cheat meals. And my guys are better than your guys. You guys don't work hard. Like, listen, we all work hard. It's just a different era. We all look good. Guys are in shape. Guys train hard. So it gives a different point of view that's maybe not biased to a different time or maybe on the other end. So sometimes people can come off like they don't like the sport because maybe they're on the other side of it. And sometimes, it's a fun sport, man. Let's focus on the positive and not so much about who's better and what's this. And we don't put nobody down here neither as well.
Exactly. Plus, you don't control who wins the show. That's
No.
the excellent point I always try to keep in my mind because you have to be good and kind to others and make friends within the industry and just stop making it all about the win, because you don't really control what the judges are going to pick. At the end of the day, you can bring your best, he brings his best, and the judges will call it as they see it. So, there's no reason to talk shit about anyone. I mean, really.
I like this crop of guys because everybody seems to get along, man. Like it's like I go to these national shows and we're all backstage hanging out, sharing snacks and shit. Every division, like everybody's cool, bro. Everybody at DM, it seems like we're all cool. Like there's not a lot of animosity. Like you said, we don't judge these shows, and at some point we're probably all gonna compete against each other, right? But who gives a fuck? Like you compete on stage, and then we could be cool backstage. I mean, it's we're not fighting. Like we're posing. You know what I'm saying? It's not that deep. Like we're only gonna do this for the next 5-10 years. Might as well fucking enjoy it. Make it fun.
Exactly.
Not make it like I don't like you. Like fuck it. That's corny, man. Like there's no point for that. We can be competitive, but still be fun, chop it up.
There's no benefit for anyone, trying to be, oh, I'm better or trying to seclude themselves, from the rest. Like I think everyone benefits from being more open and being more open and being together. Like, this is my first time, Beatty, we talked for a little bit. Joe, I know we've been following each other for a little bit now, but this is my first time actually talking to you guys. And like, we're the next generation coming up. It doesn't, this is networking. So it doesn't make sense for anyone to seclude themselves from that because the opportunities that are going to be out there business wise, you guys are my peers. You know what I mean? If it's a business down the line in the industry, it's going to be amongst people like us. You know what I mean? So you don't serve yourself any due justice by, trying to seclude yourself because you think you're better than everyone else. You're only going to shoot yourself in the foot. So,
Facts.
yeah. That's it. I got to follow you after this, by the way, Zaid. So,
oh, thank you. You ever seen those bodybuilders that never post any updates? They want to leave it from the beginning of prep to the very end of prep. Man,
Yeah,
I call that the Dorian Yates the syndrome. You know,
yeah,
we're not all Dorian Yates, bro.
nah,
Calm the fuck
man,
down. It's
nah,
okay to
nah.
show progress because honestly, the more progress you show people, the more they would want to follow your journey versus
Yeah.
just two pictures, one on the first of your prep, and then just boom, the result of a diet or a transformation. You know, so
And the
they
world's
love to see the journey and not
and the
just
world's yeah, the world's changed too. People are like, oh, social media. And in bodybuilding, bodybuilding is synonymous with social media now. If you actually want to make any kind of decent kind of business in the future, or some kind of, even with competing, I do think social media is necessary now. You can't just, not have an Instagram or whatnot. You may want to show here or there, but like, how do people want to contact you for business opportunity? They're not looking for your email or your phone number. They're going to go to your Instagram,
exactly.
Oh,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
So like,
But when people say if I was in this generation, I wouldn't have social media. I'm like,
not
bro,
true.
that's like somebody born in the 20s being like, oh, I would never have a TV or cell phone. Yes, you would.
Yeah,
You
it's not
were
true.
born, yeah, you were just from a different generation. So that's what you think because based off of when you was born. If you were born in a generation, you would 100%. Even if you didn't want to, like Andrew didn't have social media, but he realized Larry forced him to do it because he's like, bro, you have to do this. So you're
And
gonna
look, he's cashing checks,
And
right?
look at it, right? A lot of the I'm not trying to call anyone out or whatnot, but a lot of the pros in the 90s, right? A lot of them, the only footage you have of them is from those Mitsuru like videos that he used to do,
exactly.
right? That they were able to market out. Like, don't you think that I'm sure a lot of them they would wish, like when Milos posts a lot of those archives of photos that he has, if you were a pro in that era, don't you would wish you had something to look back on at some point of the time you spent during those years that you were competing. And like it makes no sense to say that, oh, I'm not going to post anything like this. These are the best years of your life. This is something that you, even if you're not even if you're not posting it on social media, you got to still capture those memories. You know what
Exactly.
I mean? Like you got to still capture those memories because you're never going to have it again. Joe, you're not going to be Mr. USA again. You do it once and that's it.
That's
You
it.
know,
No.
it's the best. So to say that, oh, I'm not going to do social media or I'm not going to take a picture here or there. I think it's short sighted. I'll be honest with you. It's a little short sighted.
And on top of that, the same people who say this, they have social media, and that's where they make their living. Like,
Yeah.
all due respect, like I say, Dorian. Dorian has been on record like, oh, I wouldn't do any of the social media stuff when I was competing. Yet Dorian has a big following on Instagram, and he literally makes most of his income from Instagram, from coaching,
And
from
and
video.
Dorian was the first that DVD that came out.
Hmm.
He was the one that did the DVD. Like if he wasn't, if there was social media, don't you think he would have put it on Instagram or YouTube or something versus the
Exactly.
DVD? Like
Oh yeah, that is
all the
true.
guts, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah, he lived in the UK, so it was like
Exactly.
yeah,
So
he was
it's so
instinct.
weird. It's weird that they say this, yet they all have Instagram. I mean, I see Milos never said this, but like Milos makes a lot of posts. He gets a lot of business. Chris Cormier, Flex Wheeler, all these guys, Kevin Levrone, they're using Ronnie Coleman, right? They're using social media to make a living, and that's the same thing they would have had to do if they were competing today because you're not getting paid seven figures for muscle tech. That's not
yeah.
happening. So you're gonna have to use social media, and everybody would have done it. Listen, we do it. Like, do I enjoy making posting every day? Not, I don't hate it, but I don't love it. Do I enjoy having a camera on me in the gym? Not really, But it's better than working a 9 to 5. I mean, shit. I mean,
Exactly.
Yeah.
pick one. Do I go
Yeah.
start bouncing or do I fucking do some social media? It's a no brainer, right? Do some coaching, do some social media.
And because you do so, and then the social, like I know, like for me, right? Like I don't really take photos or videos when I train,
Mhm.
but if I'm gonna do it, I have a specific day, and that may be a day where like I'm gonna do like a light. A lot of the pictures on my Instagram from like a gym training or something like that, they're usually like a Sunday.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm done with the week. Like, let me get out there and let me go provide some content. You know what I mean? So because someone is posting on social media sometimes, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're not training hard. You know,
Facts.
you just don't know when you're doing it. You know?
Yeah, so I feel like a lot of it is just nonsense. But I see Zay smiling at some shadows, so I think it's time to go.
Before you go, I think it's good advice when you
My
keep
food
doing
is here.
your content and stuff. To not take away from your workout, never film a top set. Like if you're just showing what you're doing for your workouts, don't film a top set. That way you can kind of have your time with the gym, but then get the other part out of the way. Even if
I've
you're
been
showing
doing
a
that.
warm-up set, your body's built like that for a reason. Just show the movement how you do it, but you don't have to show how heavy you go or how hard, unless from time to time you can throw it in there, but don't
Yeah.
take away from your
That's
workout.
solid advice. That's solid advice.
Well,
But honestly, I agree with Ken. I have to do it on a separate day where it's a content making day. And honestly, dude, I just hired a media guy, so that's what we do. I get a bunch of fucking outfits with me, and I go to the gym and we film few things wearing one outfit, then I change the outfit, do another few sets with a different workout, and literally knock it out in all one day. But I don't do this when I'm training because it's very hard for me to make content while I'm training to make progress. So I had to separate both because training is very serious for me. I don't want to fucking talk to the camera and tell them what to do, what not to do. You know, I'm just gonna bang out this fucking weight and do my sets and leave. But on a content making day, it's different. You have to be more tutorial and you have to explain all that shit, which is awesome. It's fun to get into, and I just started very recently. But definitely separate those days, man. I can't be filming while I'm training. I don't like it. I never liked it. I have somebody do some videos of me, you know, sometimes on my top sets. But just like you, I hate the fucking phone and the camera in the gym.
Yeah.
You know.
it don't feel right. All right, gentlemen, I'm starting to go hypo a little bit. So
that humor log is kicking in.
it's kicking in, man. It's kicking in from yesterday still.
Really said I'm going hypo.
All right, gentlemen.
Have a good day, you guys. It was a pleasure.
Great meeting you, Ken.
It's a good one, man. Great meeting you guys, man.
Likewise, man. Great to see you.
Nice talking
Take
to you.
care.
Bye, guys.